I kind of want to like just like scream. Like I just want to like stand up and be like, yeah, Hoje! And Team Liquid's rise to third place. And without that, why did I say without that? Why do I keep saying without that? Please, somebody clap first. Okay. Dear God, this video is gonna be like 30 minutes. Okay. 0 and Team Liquid's rise to success. Rise to success. Rise to success. I need to just drink something. Hang on. Team Liquid's rise to success. Rise to success. Such as Cloud9's rise to success. They've been rising all split, boy. Last take. This is gonna be it. Give another transition word, dude. How does my hair look? Bad. Okay, good. It's not. I will be covering the LCS information. That's what. Hey guys, we're jumping into the LCS segment now. What I want to talk about first is why don't we go through the standings. Currently, we have Cloud9 sitting at 12-0 in first. We have FlyQuest in second at 8-4. We have a tie for third between three teams with Team Liquid, Immortals, and TSM all sitting at 6-6. And then a tie for sixth place between three teams with 100 Thieves, Team Dignitas, and Golden Guardians sitting at 5-7. We have a four-way tie at 6 with Evil Geniuses as well. And then sitting lonely in 10th, we have CLG. Now, before we dive into the LCS stuff specifically, there are a few things I want to touch on. First piece of news is actually the LPL is starting back up, but not in the normal format you would expect. They're actually doing a online scrimming sort of thing where they'll be streaming some of their scrims, but it doesn't really count towards like a season from what I've understood. It's more just that they are doing scrims online and getting some sort of LPL content out there so that way teams are practiced and ready. From what I understand, it's not every team. I'll actually look up what teams are scrimming, but it is only a few teams scrimming in the LPL at the moment. The coronavirus is obviously a big part as to why that's happening and as to why they're obviously doing the online format instead of the local format. And anyways, so even though LPL is resuming, unfortunately, the LCK is actually being put on hiatus due to the coronavirus outbreak. So while we've gained something, we have also lost another thing, which is just a big bummer. But let's see. Top Esports, JD Gaming, Suning Gaming, Victory 5, and eStar are the teams participating in this online league. I don't fully understand it. I think it's mostly just like an online scrim, and to be honest, it's a little bit disappointing that now the LCK and the LPL are both sort of behind on everything because moving into an international event like MSI, whether or not that's still going to happen, I believe it still will be interesting because, you know, NA and EU will be very strong in this tournament because they've been playing the whole split. Whereas if one of them wins and Korea and China are there or even aren't there, they're probably not going to be at full power if they are there. The excuse of North America winning or Europe winning will automatically come as like, oh, it didn't really matter. It's almost like another Rift Rivals, which is honestly a big bummer because whatever you think of MSI, no matter what you think, it is an international tournament, and you know this is exciting. It's like the winner of the split for your region gets to go internationally and play and against some of the best teams in the world, and half of those teams might not be there. It's a little bit disheartening, and so that is kind of a huge bummer, and I'm a little disappointed about it. All right, now moving on to the upcoming matches. This week is going to be week 7, and we have some pretty interesting matches here, actually. I think on Saturday we have Cloud9 versus TSM, 100 Thieves versus Dignitas, Team Liquid versus CLG, FlyQuest versus Evil Geniuses. On Sunday we have 100 Thieves versus IMT. We have FlyQuest versus TSM. We have Golden Guardians versus Dignitas, and we have CLG versus EG. And then on Monday, we have TL versus IMT, and then GG versus C9. So right off the bat, the most interesting one for me is going to be Cloud9 versus TSM. not only from the Cloud9 18-0 angle, but also from the TSM proving themselves as a team. I think this team has a lot of really good talent, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not this pans out well. I think they have a really, really good shot of doing some really good things here. They could take down Cloud9, honestly. They have the talent for it. I think Kabe, when he's in form, looks really good. Biofrost has the potential to be one of the best supports. Dardoch has a lot of hidden potential that I don't think has fully been unlocked yet. Bjergsen's been looking a little shaky, hasn't looked super consistent, and Broken Blade could be potentially second best or best top laner this split. And so I think this is a really good time for TSM to come together, and even if they don't beat Cloud9, at least have a good showing against Cloud9 to show that you are here to compete for the split. Whereas this past week, with this O2 performance, with this crappy performance, I don't think that they've shown that. Another interesting one for me on Saturday is going to be Team Liquid versus CLG. This is going to be interesting solely for the fact of, is CLG a legit team now? Because they got nothing to prove anymore. They're not going to be able to make playoffs. So this is your time to just play upset to whatever. Maybe you try to play upset to Cloud9's 18-0. Maybe you try to play upset to Team Liquid making playoffs. There's a lot of, you're kind of just the fun team at this point where you're like, hey, maybe we can beat Immortals and make them not make playoffs. And so I think that's going to be interesting. Most CLG games are now going to be a little bit more interesting because if a team loses to CLG, they might not make playoffs. The next one on Sunday that's going to be interesting is CLG versus Evil Geniuses, obviously because CLG, and then actually FlyQuest versus TSM. If TSM has a 2-0 week this week, that's really impressive. I don't think they will. I think they're going to lose to one of the two teams, and one of them is probably going to be Cloud9. But if you're TSM and you end up beating FlyQuest, that spells good result. That's a good sign for you for the future. And I think that is going to be a very, very good thing for your team to look forward to, for your organization to look forward to. You don't have to have this big black mark on your LCS history because you might be in fourth place again, whereas you used to be the most dominant team in the LCS. But anyways, that's going to be it for the LCS segment. I hope you guys enjoyed this current sort of makeshift setup where me and Gilbert actually aren't even recording at the same time. But let us know what you guys think. I hope that my solo LCS analysis is good enough for you guys. But if you guys think differently from me, if you have any feedback, anything at all, leave a comment in the YouTube comments. You can also message us at Reddit, on Instagram, on Twitter. My handle is going to be at Hoje Mania with a 0. That's spelled HOJEMANIA. And then Gilbert is gilbo.swaggins on Instagram and Twitter. So with that, hope you guys enjoyed.
All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to an interview here. We have another Grandmaster player, this one from the NA region. So what's up, Gon? Thanks so much for being here today on the show.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So for context, Gon, you found us. I'm not actually sure how you found our podcast, but you added us on League, and we ended up playing together a few times. And let me just tell you guys, I have, obviously everyone's self-perception, you think you're kind of good at the game. You look at it and you think, oh, okay, I'm probably doing good. I have some bad games and this and that. Man, did we play 3 games the other night?
I think we played 3 norms, yeah.
We played 3 norms. What you did to those people, Gon, I feel like you owe an apology to their parents. That was disrespectful the way you destroyed them. It was a Rumble, an ASOL game. Was it 2 Rumble games? Oh, Silas. And Silas. Guys, I'm telling you, if you've never played with someone at this level, the way you think about the game changes. I have never seen someone go in so hard in so many fights and take 2v1s. You actually specifically did things. I remember we were in the enemy base, and he was playing Aurelion Sol, and it was I think it was a 2-on-4 and he was a third health maybe as Aurelion Sol, and he's like, oh yeah, we can do this. We can win this. And I was like, how do you think we can win this? And lo and behold, he was correct. he won it. He was just big enough. He was able to carry enough. I don't understand. But you literally straight up smurfed on those people, and it was insane. So if you guys haven't ever watched someone on Twitch or have gotten to play with someone, I'm telling you, the way they think about the game is so different. I feel like I learned so much just by playing those few games with you. But let's do this. Let's introduce yourself here to our audience here. So what's your name, your lane, favorite champ, and what's the highest you've been ranked?
Okay, name, lane, okay. So, hey, what's up, guys? My name's Matt. Main mid. I actually swapped roles a lot since I first started the game, so I went around from, like, jungle main to being, like, an AD carry main to a support to a mid. So I've pretty much been around the entire spectrum of the roles. The only role I've never really dabbled in is top. Not the biggest fan of the lane, because it's not, it's never been really in a good spot for a long time, so...
All the top mains everywhere just were like, yeah, we agree!
I think the role's pretty underpowered right now. It needs to get fixed, but that's for another day. But the highest I've been ranked, I've almost hit challenger.
Dang.
Last season. I was like 100 and something, like pretty much like 100 something LP, which is pretty much like 8 to 10 games off. But I had a pretty unlucky losing spree, and like it was pretty much like bot gap. I don't want to like blame my team, but it was pretty much bot gap for like every game. So we didn't get it, but
dang.
That was okay. We were close.
Okay, so wait, what was your favorite champ? Did you say that?
Oh, favorite champ. Oh yeah, my favorite champ. It's swapped around. Honestly, it's weird because like one moment you like it, one day you like a champ just because like it's really fun or like it's really strong or OP or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But then like if they like completely change or like revert or rework or like even like super nerf a champ, you just feel like it's not the same gameplay.
Yeah.
So I think a champion that I used to like a lot would be Asol. The reworked Asol for sure.
Yeah, actually, so wait, can you explain that? Because I remember seeing the rework of it. I think we might have even talked about it like on our first episode. Can you can you give us like as an Asol player some of the nuance within that about why that's frustrating?
Okay, so the old Asol, the way you played it was like honestly it was pretty one-dimensional for the first few levels. Like you pretty much just push the lane, back a level 3, buy your Darksteel pink ward, and it's pretty much the same gameplay every single game into most matchups.
Mm-hmm.
The only few I would say like are tough where you'd have to like play more like a regular mage would be like Yasuo or Assassins, for example, just because they have so much kill threat early game. But Asol right now, they changed pretty much his entire kit aside from his ult and his Q. So his E used to be like the ultimate roaming tool without having an active. It used to just give you passive movement speed as you like went straight in any direction. Mm-hmm. So you pretty much like have like Moby boots as you're running down a lane, for example. And I think the biggest change that they changed about him is definitely the W. The W now is not permanent. Like it's a toggle, so it's pretty much you have a certain time frame to where you can use your W, and then you have to like toggle it on and off. So like I feel like the champion, they just kind of removed what made him so unique, which I think was his W. The fluidity in like the laning phase and just like late game, the nuances behind like positioning around your orbs more and like zoning in a team fight, it feels like they took it out.
So what was their thought behind it then? Like why did Riot think that change was so necessary? Did he like get anything for that?
I feel like the reason was because Asol before was I still feel like he's a niche champ. Like it's very rare to see like an Asol player that kind of like knows what they're doing, or even just seeing an Asol player in general. I feel like it is kind of the one trick type of champion where the only players you'll see play it are the ones that pretty much only play it. But before, I feel like the reason why they thought Asol was it was harder of a champion, I guess you could say, because his W, like the only players who play him at one tricks, I think they try to make him more of like a champion that a lot more people could pick up, because his W is now kind of like a burst tool. He's more like fit for the meta, I guess you could say. Like he's like his high DPS, like late game powerhouse. Before he was kind of like this early game roamer. Okay. And I think they just wanted to change his playstyle. Like they didn't like it in the meta. So that's the reason why I think they.
Okay, that makes sense. That's actually more than what I would have realized. Like from a little bit more of my like less in tune understanding, I thought they just like I remember thinking like I think they think he's too strong, or he like has too high of a ceiling and they want to limit it. Because if you build him right, you can just leave your W on, it felt like for forever, and just
That's true.
But like that's obviously an oversimplification of a more complex issue. But I guess that makes a lot more sense. I didn't realize how much of an early game roamer he was. Probably because when my friend first started playing him, we were both like literally new to League. I think I mentioned this to you before the other night, but he started as an A-Soul main. So imagine knowing nothing about League of Legends and coming in as Aurelion Soul. Like you're just like, oh, this is my first champion. I will learn him. Like it was just a wild time. Like I think it's still his highest. I want to say it's his highest mastery champ as right now. But that's insane.
So he still plays A-Soul like after the. Does he feel like the A-Soul change was like beneficial or?
I don't think he's played it enough since then. I think he got like, I don't know, 107K or something on it, 170,000, excuse me, points on it, and then he hadn't played it much since that. So he played it a lot at the beginning, and I don't think he's really touched it too much since. I'd have to look at his OPGG, but yeah. So let's go into some of our questions here. So here's I guess my first one. So reaching Grandmaster, just in general, is a pretty impressive feat. Like I think sometimes it's easy for people to misunderstand like the time and the effort and the dedication and the energy it takes to get there. And I haven't asked you about this, I guess, directly, so I don't know your answer. Maybe you will say, I'm a prodigy and I was able to level up really easily. But this is something that actually really takes a lot of work and a lot of effort. So I guess the first question is, how many games or how many hours did it take for you to first break Grandmaster?
Okay, so when we say Grandmaster, we're talking about like Grandmaster in like, because I know before there was a like past iteration of Grandmaster, which was just Master.
Oh yeah,
the tier system.
Mm-hmm.
So are we talking about like specifically Grandmaster like post the rank change, or are we talking about like Master in general, like past D1?
Oh, that's a good point. So let's see. I think the old system was Challenger was top 200, Master was the next 200. Is that correct?
Master, I don't think it had a cap in the past.
I remember
Did it?
I remember going D1 Master Challenger. So
Yeah,
I thought
Master Challenger.
okay, I thought Master maybe had it had an X amount, and I actually don't remember. But maybe we do that then. Like give me because it's probably a previous season that you hit Master in, correct? Which is now Grandmaster. So let's take that one into consideration. How long do you think it took you to get there?
Game wise, it probably took me around I think it was around 100 games.
Oh wow, like from nothing straight up, or were you already like in Diamond?
From after placements, pretty much. So I got placed around. I think in the past, the highest you get placed was Plat 1 because they had a cap on it.
Mm-hmm.
The provisional system was a lot different. So like the highest anyone can get placed is Plat 1, but like the MMR, you'd still like play against like previous like D1 or whatever season you ended at, or whatever rank you ended at, you'd be playing against those players. But yeah, I think I got placed Plat 1, and then I went like it took me around 100 and something games to eventually hit Master.
That's I feel like that's a relatively short amount of time. I've put 100 games, or not 100 games this season, but I'm like hanging on the border of Silver 1 and Gold 4, you know what I'm saying? And I've put in like 70 games. So I guess how many, if you had to estimate, this would be hard, but if you think from the days that you first began ranked and you said to yourself, I want to try to get as high as I can, up until the point where it took you to get to Master, how many games do you think that was? Just ranked. Don't think of norms or anything like that.
Okay.
Just ranked.
Just ranked.
Because I feel like that'll be a little bit easier to understand.
Okay, so I'm gonna break down with some maths. You know, I need some math.
I love the math. Bring
I
it.
started season 3. Season 3, which is weird. I don't know. Okay. Anyways, it was weird because in season 3, I remember like my first provisionals ever. Like that was pretty much like my first few months in the game. I started 8-2, but I got placed bronze. And it's a long story behind that, but so I thought I was a bronze player, but then like apparently after that I found out that if you go 8-2, you get placed gold. Like that's how it was. You know, a fresh account, 8-2, you get gold 4.
Okay.
It was very like you'd always know you get placed on a fresh account back in the day, and it was like really easy to smurf. And it took me around season 3, season 4, season 5, and then season 6 was when I got it. So it was around 4 seasons, and then let's say I played around 100 or let's say 150 games a season. It took me around like 600 ranked games to actually finally get Master, because I was in Master promos for the season before that. I was hard stuck Master promos. Like, it was so sad. I was a Nami one trick.
Now we watch it. And I was when Arden was OP. I don't know if anyone here remembers the Arden meta.
Oh
that
yeah,
was like,
that's when I first joined. It was Worlds 2016 or summer 2016. I watched like the LCS games and stuff then. But yeah, it was super strong.
I missed those days. Like support mains were like, rejoice! This is our time to climb. You know, like Arden's OP. We can play Janna, Nami, Karma, Lulu. We can 1v9 basically. Like if your AD carry gets fed, it's pretty much just like ball lane wins the turn.
Over.
So yeah, it took me around that many games.
Okay. Now, did you come from any other games in the past? Like, did you start with any other games before League that were this style? Were you a Dota player or something like that?
For this style, I don't think I played anything like even remotely close to League. I remember when I first started playing League, I actually thought it was dumb. Like I'm like, there's no way I'm playing this game. Like what is this? Like you have to like hit like minions. Like what's a minion? Like I don't know. It felt weird. Like I don't know if like when you first start playing League and you have no experience with like Dota or any sort of MOBA, you're like I feel like it's a pretty like steep like understanding. Like you don't know what you're doing. Like why am I hitting this minion? Like what is this little like thing, little yellow thing popping up like gold? Like what is gold? You know, I feel like you have to learn a lot when you first start. So I came from like a FPS like MMORPG background. So when I first started, it was like foreign. I didn't really like the game, but once I started playing 3v3 bots for a good few months, I finally started playing the game. You know, I felt good. Yeah,
that's good. That's good. So what? So let me ask this because this is something I'm very curious about. We've interviewed two other people for our show. One of the audio was just totally botched, which is unfortunate. It's the downside of me learning how to probably do this correctly. If I'm being honest. Part of me, if I'm just going to be honest, part of me is paranoid that's going to happen again this episode. Something's going to happen with our audio, and I'm going to be like, no!
Knock on wood, knock on wood.
Yeah, knock on wood for real, because I would cringe if that happened. But so here's something I want to know, because you're the first NA player that we've had this. Have you played against any pros in solo queue?
Oh, yes. The question is, which ones do you want to know specifically, more or less? Because pretty much played against, yeah.
So there's obviously like a couple big names I think everyone like. So I personally would want to know, have you played against Double Lift?
Yes.
What?
With and against. Like I pretty much played with against.
Are you?
I would say like 90% of pro players.
Are you? Dang, that's insane. Okay, so I won't make you answer. Who do you not like playing with? Because we don't want to roast anyone here. Like
I don't want to answer that. I don't want to answer.
Okay,
it's not even an LCS.
I will ask you that then, because that's pretty good. That's pretty good info. Okay, so who do you like laning with, or who do you like playing with? Who's a good person to play with that's professional?
Professional. Okay. It's weird because when I used to play support, I guess I can only answer this from a support perspective, right? Because if I was mid, it would be like jungle probably that I would answer. But
or even maybe there's just people that are positive. Maybe your top laner is quiet, but he has a good attitude. You know what I mean? Like that can be enough to make you like someone. But yeah, who do you like? Who do you like playing with?
Pro player wise, I'd say it's weird because I feel like the solo queue and pro play is like completely different. It actually is like it's not even you can't even compare the two. Like if someone's performing, let's say like their team's not doing well in LCS, they may be like rank 1 or they may be like top 10 and they're just like really good, like gods of solo queue. So I'd say like from my experience, I think Wild Turtle is actually a really, really good AD carry. I think he's underrated in terms of like maybe pro play because he's not the best in terms of LCS, but in solo queue he's like he pops off like most of my games, and he just has a pretty good attitude. Like he rarely tilts, to be honest.
Oh, that's awesome. Because I actually we've talked about this. I think maybe it's just even I don't know if we said it on the show, but Hoje and I have said it. Like Wild Turtle is the kind of the guy that like. This is how I view him. He's like part of the friend group that's like really cool and popular at school. But for whatever reason, like maybe no one asked him to the Sadie Hawkins dance. And you're like, why did no one ask Wild Turtle? He's awesome. He's just like, he's like, oh, it's not a big deal. It's okay. I'm going to like just do this thing. And he's like, he just has a good attitude. He feels like he's a really likable guy. He like, I don't feel like I've never noticed like a lot of like toxicity from him or a lot of like BMing. So I like him. I very much like him as a player. So it feels good for me to hear like, oh, that's awesome. You like playing with him. He's like a really good guy in my mind. Okay, so give us the tea then. Who do you hate to play with on your team?
I hate to play. Oh, okay.
Maybe
so
not hate, maybe hate's the wrong word. Who is difficult? Or I guess I don't know. I don't know if this is going to affect your next game if they somehow get more saying this. But is there any player that's sometimes difficult to work with? Maybe that's easier question to ask.
I honestly, okay, so I have a few answers for this.
Mm.
So I'm not gonna rank them in an order, but I'm just gonna name them out.
Okay.
In the past, he was an LCS. I think it was like early season 3, season 4. He was, I don't know if you remember him, ganked by mom. That was his old like IGN. He was also known as GBM
My
after
mom.
ganked by mom. That was his OG IGN before he went pro. But I remember in LCS, they have the TOS whatnot, so they had to name change him to GBM for stage. And there's also a few other players in LCS that actually surprisingly have that that change for their name at least, because like their name's not necessarily the most appropriate. Like I think Sneaky also, or like some other people actually had like kind of like
Yeah,
you
like
shouldn't
second
use.
names.
Yeah, you can't really use those names for LCS. Like it's just PG-13. You got to keep it. Yeah, but GBM was his Korean player actually. He used to be from Korea, and then he imported to NA. And this guy, like, he's a mid man, and he played jungle in my game on Graves, and he just like straight ran it down, like literally ran it down. And that was the first time I've ever actually like seen an LCS player in my game run it down. And I'm like, this is not real. These guys just trolling solo queue. Like they don't play. Like I don't know like why he's running it down, but and then so GBM would probably be one of my least favorites, and
Okay.
then other ones are, I think this is an academy player though. He's a top lane main. What's his name? Oh, I don't remember his name. I think he's an academy though, but he was like a really toxic Camille, and he told us to all take a big like retirement from League for a week, like take a vacation. Like you guys are just really bad. Like I don't want to play with you guys, so take a week vacation. And I'm like, oh, this guy he can't tell me to take a vacation. Like I take it when I want, Like why is he telling me to take a vacation?
Who's he play for now? Do you know?
I think he's an academy for Clutch or something, or
Dig now? Yeah.
Dig. Yeah, Dig. Yeah, I forgot his name, but I think he's definitely still an academy, but he used to be an LCS for like a little bit of the split.
Oh, I'm gonna look this up. It's gonna bother me. Wait, I'm gonna bring this up on Gamepedia. Let me see. So they have.
I'm not sure if it's that team though. It's top lane. I don't remember.
My computer's kind of freaking out. That's unfortunate.
If I hear his like first letter of his name, then I'll know it. But
Wait, okay. Hang on, I'm gonna look this up on my phone. My computer's bugging out probably because I'm recording here. Dignitas.
I don't think he's that well known though. That's the thing. Like he's kind of like that challenger, like scouting grounds top laner player, but he's not like really well known. You just seen him on the ladder. I'm pretty sure everyone's seen him on the ladder once or twice.
Let me just see. I'll just look at one. If it's not him, we can move on. So the current, so Lorlu's starting for him right now. Yeah, Lorlu, and then Rodov, Rodov.
No.
Oh, that's former.
I'm not sure if like it's been a while. Like I haven't checked up on this guy in a bit, but I just remember. Oh man, it's not a Blaze Alive. He's actually like a mid-main player. No, what's his name? Actually.
Well, if you remember, we can come back to it. Let me just ask this then. One of my favorite junglers in the league? It's kind of a bit of a rip that he's with Evil Geniuses now, but it's Sven Skarin. Have you ever played with him?
Sven, yeah. Sven, I usually always see him play Lee Sin or like Elise or Gragas.
I totally understand. As a C9 fan, I understand why we went with Blabber, but man, I loved Sven. We went to finals in Detroit this last summer, and I made this huge sign with him, and we were like, I was like cheering for him, and he saw me. Like he came out for like the MVP award, and I had this huge sign, and I like hung it over. I was like, I love you, Sven. And he like just looked at me and laughed. I was like, that's it. That was my moment. It's all downhill here after that. That was all I got. Oh man. Okay, so let me open my phone back up here because I have more questions. So what got you into playing League then? How did you get started?
So back in high school, I think it was like freshman year. I remember I was like playing MapleStory or something at the time, like a lot of MapleStory. I was a big like grinder type of player. Like I would just love like farming, like getting mesos, like doing all that good old stuff. I played like pretty much all the MapleStory, RuneScape, all that good stuff. And then I remember everyone in my like high school was pretty much playing League at the time, and I'm like, nah, I'm never gonna play this game. Like it's overrated. It looks dumb. Like I think I remember back in the day, like no offense to Riot, because they were like fresh when they first started, like the first iterations of League, like the season 1, season 2. There were a lot of bugs. There were a lot of things that like aren't as clean as they are now for sure. Like there were a lot of bugs back then. So I was like, this is dumb. It looks like the graphics aren't my appeal. Like it feels like a weird game like when you're first playing it. So I was like, there's no way I'm gonna play it. But eventually my friends like peer pressured me into like downloading it and playing it. And then I was spamming 3v3 bots because I was really scared of players. Like I was like, no, these guys are too good. I don't want to get smacked, you know? Like I can't play norms. I can't even play norms. Like I just had like this anxiety about playing it. Like I'm scared of losing or like getting like destroyed, especially in front of my friends. Like, you know, it's kind of embarrassing. So
Hmm.
I was spamming threes for like the longest time, like bots 3v3s. Eventually my friends like, come on, like you can, I believe you can win norms. I eventually started playing norms and like it just went uphill from there. Like I got the confidence to play norms and eventually ranked after that. So that was good.
Okay, that makes sense. I get that. So let me ask you this then, because you're kind of like, I feel like I said this to Anka in our interview before, but like you guys are kind of like royalty, and the rest of us are kind of like peasants. Like
Oh,
we're just like looking up at you in like awe, like how did you ever get so good? And so here's a burning question that I feel like I really want to know, because a lot of people talk about Elo hell, like being a place that like, you know, it is just like the worst of the worst players, or it's the worst mentality. And there's a lot of arguments on why like bronze is worse than platinum, or why actually diamond is one of the worst. Like there's a lot of opinions on to what is the most toxic. But
true,
like
true.
excluding iron here, because iron is just literally for people who are trying to learn ranked but haven't gotten ranked yet.
Yeah.
What like which elo, in your opinion, looking back on your league career here, which one is the most toxic or maybe the most difficult to work in?
Ooh. Oh, most toxic and most difficult to work in. Oh, as this is a tough question actually, because pretty much I'd say a lot of the every elo has their like, you know, their toxic moments and their downsides. Certain ones. I think it depends on what like angle you're looking at it from. Like you could say like one elo, let's say like platinum or platinum players maybe no diamond players you could say for example like low diamond players. You could say maybe they have a big ego because they're like in diamond. Like they have a diamond 5 player specifically, I feel like get a lot of the like this like backlash. A lot of people say diamond 5 players, let's say like the term boosted, like they say they're boosted, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
because they may not be like actually boosted, MMR boosted, but just the fact that they're like camping diamond, they have like this big ego around them because they feel like they're better than let's say like a platinum 1 player. I guess
Mm-hmm.
you could say sometimes when you play diamond 5 games, it just feels like they're either really really like aggressive and they're like, ah, like I'm diamond 5, I'm better than you guys, blah blah blah, and they don't care about the game, they don't care about ranked as much as you go, as opposed to looking like a Platinum 1 player who's really trying hard to get into Diamond 5, and they're like, oh, Diamond 4 in this, you know, this season, they're like really trying hard to like actually push past like their promos or like get to Diamond. So I
Mm-hmm.
feel like when you hit those benchmarks for like Diamond 5 or like maybe even Platinum 5, I think most of the four like the start of the tiers are the most toxic. Like Platinum 4, Diamond 4, even Gold 4. That's where you find the Elo hell.
Yeah.
You know, it's multiple. It's multiple. I feel like.
I remember, and obviously I've never climbed that high. I think I peaked at gold 3, but then fell to gold 4 on like an 8 game losing streak
Oh
last
no.
year. So not that good, but I remember specifically when I finally got out of bronze and into silver, I felt like I got like a lot less like kind of chatty toxicity or pinging toxicity. I don't know if that was like
Ooh, yeah.
I don't exactly know why, but I remember being like, oh, like even if people are like tilted, they go like, well, this is GG, I give up. Like they'll say that, but they're less like hostile towards you as a person. Whereas I
Oh
felt like I
yeah.
had a lot more derogatory things said about my mother.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like a
Yeah.
lot of things were said about poor Jill that like should never have been uttered or said, but they were said because some 19-year-old kid somewhere has an attitude issue when it comes to a video game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
So
can understand that.
so on that note then, so what lane in your opinion at your level right now is the most toxic? Like you see people who are the most, I remember maybe toxic's too intense of a word, but which one is the most like in your face or aggressive or intense, or like, you know, they kind of point fingers instead of pointing the finger at themselves, they'll like point at their teammates. Which lane do you think has the tendency to do that the most at your level?
Ooh. Honestly, I feel like it changed from the past. Like it changes every season, honestly. I think it depends on the powerhouse of the roles, and it just depends. Like I feel like I'm at the point where I'll always see the same people in the ladder for the most part. Like it's generally always the same challenger players like every season, to be honest. Unless like let's say like imports come from another country, or like maybe you can see like fresh new talent. Like I will give an example, like Viper's brother. Like
Mm.
that guy, like he's like 13 or 14 or something, and he's like super young. But the fact that
Wow.
he's challenger and he plays like Riven like Viper too, like it's crazy. I just feel like maybe like it runs in the
Wow.
blood or something or what.
Shoot, that's awesome. I didn't even know about him. What's his gamer tag?
General Sniper, and then I'm not. I think it's General Sniper with no like extra letters. I think it's General Sniper. Yeah.
Okay.
But that guy is like super young, and I don't know if it's like I think he learned from watching his brother play. I just feel like that's really like it's pretty cool actually. Like being able to hit that elo just by like learning from your brother. I think that's really awesome. And um anyway,
Yeah.
to ask the question, what was it? The most toxic
Oh yeah,
mode?
most toxic lane. You said it depended on the
I think
power of
it's
the.
jungle. I think it's jungle. Honestly.
Oh no!
I'm gonna say it's jungle in my elo. I'm gonna say it's Tarzan makes most of it, but no calling out. No, I'm not calling out anyone. But I just feel like junglers they have like this really easy ability to like just mental boom. I guess you could say just mental.
Yeah, and they just kind of like get frustrated.
Yeah, jungler 80 carry second.
80 carry second.
Yeah.
At double lift. No, just playing. He's way better than I'll ever be at the dang game.
Oh.
Okay, so here's the thing. Let's go into you a little bit here now, Gone, because we've been talking a little bit more generally here. And this is a moment where you can, I guess, feel free to flex and be cocky if you want. But
Okay.
what actually makes you a better league player than the next guy? Like, what do you think sets you apart and has allowed you to get to this level, while there's other nubs like me who will just be like, well, it's never gonna happen for me. Like,
I don't know.
why are you so much actually better at the game? And like, I mean, relatively speaking, like maybe you'll be in Master instead of Grandmaster this year, but you're still cream of the crop, top tier. What makes you better at this game than other people?
I mainly feel like I think something a lot of people focus on when it comes to breaking down like the differences between high elo, low elo would be like mechanics and macro, like micro, macro. That's the most common thing. I think in general, high elo players really have like superior micro, like they're just either like better skill wise, mechanically is the most proficient thing. Like I think the climbing, what you see usually is someone could climb pretty much by having better macro. So they have better map sense. They know when to like go for certain engages. They know when to rotate. You can pretty much like break it down to so many different factors. But I think for me in particular, it's micro. Like I have this ability to like outplay my opponent generally in lane most of the time, and I see those opportunities.
I
And
saw
then,
that
like,
firsthand.
Yeah.
I saw that firsthand. Like 18 deaths. No, it wasn't that many. It was like 9 deaths. Was it Oriana? Rumble into Oriana or something like that?
Oh yeah. I felt bad for the
I don't even know who they were because they were dead so often. I just didn't think they had mid laner. Like they just weren't there. They were gone in the fountain.
God. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead and finish.
I just think like also like I play like I guess sometimes you could say it's a downfall even, but like I play generally hyper aggressive in most of my lanes if I have like the ability to. If I see the option, if I see the ability to go in and outplay 1v2, then I'll go for the like high risk play. And I feel like sometimes it's good to like opt out of it and go for the higher win, like the percentage wise play where you know you can execute. But I feel like the fact that I go for those plays and I see the opportunity where maybe someone else in like gold or for example like any other tier for example they wouldn't see the opportunity to go for that outplay and they wouldn't maybe pull the trigger. I pull the trigger, and I feel like the high risk high reward gameplay is generally high reward, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I get that. So let me ask a follow-up question here then. So you say you have better micro and you're hyper aggressive. How did you actually get better at doing better micro? I know there's a lot of ways to probably answer this question. There's multiple ways to skin a cat, but for you, was there a moment where you were like, this habit or this realization or this piece of information really opened my eyes and made me better at the micro? And if so, what was that?
Okay.
That's a hard question. That actually wasn't on our list. Like we have questions over here, guys, and that wasn't one. So I'm throwing you for a loop. I recognize that.
Yeah, there are many ways to answer this question. Actually, it depends on what angle you want to look at it from. For micro wise, I guess the easiest way to answer it, I guess, one of the options would be just to say that it comes with practice, really. I think building the sort of putting in the time and putting in the learning of each champion. So I think having a certain like pool, like a decent sized pool is big. So knowing matchups, I think is also big. Knowing your limits for, let's say, like Rumble versus Oriana, the fact that you obviously shouldn't be going for the early CS. Like you can try to get CS early with your E, for example, but you know you're gonna get out traded hard. So like knowing when your power spikes are and when you have the kill potential is big. And just like pretty much like practicing, I practice like so many different champions. Like my pool is like relatively big, I'd say.
Okay.
And throughout the seasons, like I was like an Ace one trick at one point, like I was a Nami one trick at one point. So I think just being able to like pick up these champions and like put in the hours and the time and just knowing your limits and how other champions work too, really. So just the fact that I know all these things and like I know little tricks about like what you can do with those champions, that sort of elevates you to another level where you can really, really outplay your opponent, where you have that edge.
Yeah, that makes sense. So let me ask this then, and this is going back to a former kind of question and tying it in, or actually no, I can separate it. Let me ask this: how many hours a day or how many hours a week would you say right now you're able to invest into League?
Oh, okay. How many hours? I used to play more back when, obviously, it was weird. When I was in school, I played a lot more than
High
when I
school
work.
or college school?
High school and college. Actually, in college, I played more than I did in high school. It probably wasn't the best. Do not recommend this to anyone in college. Do not recommend playing this much League. But I was playing like, oh my God, I was playing like 6 to 7 hours of League a day.
Oh.
A minimum. Like it was not good. I was spamming League, and that's probably why. Anyways, yeah, I played a lot of League. In high school, I was probably playing like 4 to 5, 3 to 5. I don't know. I tried to put in like I really love League. I love playing games, so I was playing a lot. And now I'd say I probably put in on the weekdays. Obviously, it changes compared to the weekend, but the weekdays I play around like probably like 4 to 5 on a good day. If I don't go to the gym, if I go to the gym, it's probably like 2 or 3. And then on the weekends, I binge. I try to enjoy my weekends, play a lot of League, hang out with friends. So I'd say I put in like 20, 30 plus hours a week on League.
Okay. So, and actually, you raise up a really important thing. You just mentioned it now, and this isn't on our list either here. But I have to imagine, and this is something I'm an advocate of. I actually do think video games are a cool way to be able to connect and make friends. I think that like an old mentality is like you will just throw your life away to a video game, which I will say I do think is true. I think there are some people that literally just throw their lives away to games and they get like a little too lost in the sauce. But I think a positive side of it is actually a way to stay connected, like and make new friends, but also be connected to them in like a close way throughout the years. So let me ask that about, I guess, your friendships. I know we played with one of your friends the other night, but would you say like at this point in your life you have a handful of friends that you've made through League, or do you have a bunch of friends? Like how many friends and how quality are those friendships that you have with them?
I feel like actually throughout my years of playing League, I've actually met a lot of different people, like from all ends of the spectrum. I've met pretty much like everyone you can say in the book, like all the different types of people, which I feel like is cool. Like League has this diversity to it that like ton of different people play it, and like from all rounds of backgrounds, like you meet them from all over the world, really. Oh, all over the world, but in North America at least, like you can find them from the US or like certain states or like, pretty much anywhere. But I'd say it's kind of like comparable to like real life in a sense, to the point where you have a certain amount of good friends, like really close friends you could say that you like talk to on a daily basis, like all the time, like not all the time, but like pretty frequently. And sometimes it even gets to the point where like say you want to meet up and go to an expo or something, or like go to LCS, which is really cool, I think, when it gets to the point of like actual like being able to physically interact in real life. I think when it gets to that point, that's really cool, like the fact that video games can bring people together like that. So I'd say you probably would meet like a few, maybe like 2 or 3 really good friends, and the rest are like friends or like mutuals maybe. But yeah,
I hear that. Okay, cool. Now here we go. We have a few more questions left here. What is the biggest difference that you notice about the culture of high elo play? So like one of the things that fascinates me, and this is I think a good thing with League, is as you like kind of rank up and you put in the hours to grind, you start to realize your mentality shift and the way you think about the game shift. And that kind of like ultimately creates the culture in which you play. So like the way that a diamond player views the game is so drastically different than the way I view it. So like what can you give any comments or insights or thoughts about the culture of high elo play?
Okay. I feel like high elo play in general, it's a lot faster paced than lower elos. Like you'll start noticing that it's almost like a completely different game. Like I really say it's like playing like League and then playing some other game. You're playing super high tempo, so where like in high elo you get punished for like the smallest mistakes. Like let's say the fact that you're missing like 2 or 3 CS a wave, or that you're missing like a few CS in general, that adds up over time, and like they'll really capitalize on like small like positional mistakes, or like the fact that you didn't like notice the jungler was there, stuff like that. It's a lot more punishing in high elo as opposed to like low elo. Let's say like they won't notice as much that the jungler is there, and it won't like actually play into the game as much, or like a few CS doesn't matter as much. But then like in high elo, like everything's like super fast. It's like people are like jumping over like level 1 invading, like they're like diving under turret. They're like, oh my god, it's like whoo, it's like playing a different game. Like you're constantly on the edge of your seat, and you're like in the driver's seat. You're like, oh god, like it's like I'm in like NASCAR or something, driving really fast. All these other people are driving fast beside me. I gotta catch up. It's like, oh my god, it feels crazy. Like in all roles, to be honest, especially I'd say like the roles where you can really impact the game, like jungle support, for example. It's just you just feel like so involved, and you're just like looking for these crazy plays, these crazy aggressive plays. And in high elo, it's just you just notice the big difference between aggressiveness and passiveness compared to like let's say like silver, bronze. They don't like go for those crazy like dives. So
Yeah. So another I guess like oh shoot, I just had another question I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
And it literally flew out of my head. What was it? I don't know. I'll try to come back to it if I can remember here. So let me ask this then. What is the best piece of advice? Like there's a lot of wisdom out there. There's a lot of advice on how to climb and get good. But I would have to imagine there's probably a few that stand out to you as being some of the best pieces of advice. So like one of the ones that for me right now that I feel like I remember someone just telling me, and this is so simple, but they said, like, as a jungler, you just always need to have 2 control wards in your inventory. Like if you have 1 on the map, you should still have 2 in your inventory so you can play around vision. And that helped shape some of my early thinking about the game, where I was like, oh, I would just buy 1 and place it somewhere, and if it disappeared, I was like, all right. But like it allowed me to actually like think way more about vision and think through like, oh, here's where I want to put things, and like here's how I want to like think about vision as like a resource, not just as like something that's nice, but actually like understanding the way that it's used. Now, I'm not saying I'm perfect on it or anything, but that like helped shape my philosophy on League. Was there anything like that for you, like a piece of advice that stood out that really maybe helped you excel or helped round out like a weakness or develop a strength in your gameplay?
Piece of advice. The pink ward thing I've actually heard a lot for like I've never really heard it for jungle. Honestly, I hear it more for supports, but the fact that I hear it for jungle is good too. It applies to jungle as well. Like having really good map vision is really important. Definitely agree with that one. I think for one piece of advice that will help, I think the way I look at it was when I used to like coach in the past, I would always bring this up. I would say League's a numbers game in so many regards, but the way I look at it specifically for like team fight, for example, or like skirmishes is you want to look at like numbers. Like you want to see let's say we only see like we see everyone on the map on our team, obviously. We don't see their jungler, we don't see their mid, and you're going for like let's say a bot lane skirmish 2v2. You're assuming it's 2v2, but you have no vision of their jungler. You want to like see that somewhat well in advance, so you have an idea of what to do. But you never want to go for these like you would never want to take these trades where you're outnumbered. Really, like you want to look at the minimap a lot, but it's a numbers game really in all regards. So I just think like you have to pay attention to where the jungler is and where like your level 1 to 2 like for ball lane skirmishes, or how much gold you have. Like, are you in your power spike because you have like let's say BF sword over their pickaxe? Like when to like it all just comes into numbers, like who's higher or who's like your cooldown's lower, or like where's their jungle on the map so you're outnumbered. Like I just think applying that to so many different aspects, especially when it comes to like team fighting or like knowing when you can go in, is really big because a lot of people make the mistake of assuming their jungler is not going to be there or just not even thinking about their jungler, and they always get ganked. So I think that's a really good way for like laners at least to avoid dying to ganks.
Ooh, okay, interesting. It makes me think I should probably play lane more so I can understand that dynamic for when I gank. Do you know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a jungle main, so that's like an interesting way of expressing it. Now, you just said this. I actually didn't know this. Did you coach League of Legends like at a college
I
team or something
still
like
I
that?
still do now actually. I do like private coaching, but I used to coach like on a TeamSpeak server. I don't know if anyone remembers TeamSpeak back in the day when that was like pretty popular. Like I remember even Riot used to fund like league tournaments, and you used to get
What?
free RP. That was dope. I wish Riot brought that back, but
Dang.
they used to like host like you could basically apply for like Riot funded league tournaments on these TeamSpeak servers, and they'd give you like prize pool of like Triumphant Rise, was it?
Oh
3,200
yeah.
RP for first place. Like that was lit. I won so many times. And I got thank Riot for blessed RP, blessed RNG. You know, it was great. But back then, like we had like I think a lot of TeamSpeak servers they actually had like coaching departments, even like recruiting departments, coaching departments, whatnot. So I remember I used to coach. That was when I kind of debuted, started coaching. But I've been coaching ever since. Like even like people, someone will see me and they're like, oh, like I see you're like higher rank and like I want to learn how to get better on this champion or how do I improve? Like I'll offer coaching. So I'm always open for that. And it's great seeing people like let's say like start at a certain rank and end at a certain rank and just seeing them like learn and seeing like the difference in skill from when they first started to when they start realizing like certain mistakes and like how to fix them. It's pretty good.
That's really fun. It's my man, it's my dream to actually be a League of Legends coach in some capacity. Obviously, I'm not good enough for professional play, and I want to stay in Pittsburgh, so that's not even an option for me. But there was a college in the area that actually hired me to run one of their camps this last summer. It fell through, unfortunately, but I'm still hoping that that dream will come true. Like, okay, I can actually like, I would love to coach like a high school League of Legends team. That would be like 10 out of 10 my dream, or even I guess a college one. I would just probably have like a Jack from C9 kind of mentality with it.
Oh yeah.
I'm not the best player, but I think I could be a pretty good organizer and a pretty good like team developer outside of like knowledge. Like you will probably not come to me and be like, and I will be able to tell you, oh yeah, like 87 CS is when you should have enough item for this or enough gold for this specific item. Like I probably won't ever think about it in that terms, but yeah, that's a dream of mine. So okay. So you say coaching here, so I'm gonna open the doors for some roasting here if you want to do it. So coach me on this, coach.
Oh god. Okay.
You saw my jungle. You saw my inting. Oh gosh, there's so many things you could say here because there are two things that happened. I'm just gonna say these first because we have to get them out of the way. So the first game, sometimes what I like to do when I'm playing League is as we're in the fountain and it's like spawning, I'll spam DNF my smite and my flash and go digga digga digga. I like just do that for fun. And I wasn't paying attention. And right as like there's like a cooldown, so it won't let you use it for like 8 seconds or something like that. As soon as it went off a cooldown, I hit it and I flashed in the fountain like right at the beginning. That was the first game. And second game, I was Karthus and I 100% forgot to buy my jungle item and like my potion. So I went and got blue buff and I was like, why didn't I hit level 2? I looked at my inventory and I was like, oh no, I didn't buy my jungle item. Okay, so we're going to remove those two because those are both really funny, but it's just easy. That's an easy target. What do I need in order to fix my elo? So I'm like right around, I ended gold 4 last season. I expect to get there. If I want to get to gold 1, if I want to get to the top of it, what do I need to do to improve in order to get better? Open doors. Feel free to roast away.
Okay. Aside from flashing on the fountain, let's say, okay, I noticed, like, at least in the Silas game, the third one, when we were fighting, I feel like maybe we went, sometimes it would be, like, a disconnect for, like, who's going in, or, like, when we're both going in or not. Like, I feel like sometimes it was just me going in, or sometimes it was just, you going in, like, really hard, or, like, vice versa, pretty much. So, I feel like knowing, like, when you win the 2v2 skirmishes, especially as a jungle player, you should know like the strength and like when you can fight 2v2 and when you win generally. So I feel like at least in our game, it was a Silas Vi matchup versus Talia Warwick. So I feel like they just like hard dookie on us in that matchup until maybe we get like levels or some items. So I feel like the fact that we kept trying to fight 2v2 and like Talia and like Warwick just got like mega like Warwick like he was like 5 or 6-0 at one point. He was just like nom eating people and I'm like, holy shit, this is a go next. This is a go next. I'm like, I'm done, man. I don't want to play. Like he's just gonna like what? He's just gonna keep healing and we have no healing cut, you know? Like, but I feel like just like playing around your lanes that are strong and like when you can win the matchup at least or the 2v2 or the skirmish. I think knowing like let's say like you're playing like Vi because you were playing Vi in that game. We use Vi, and then let's say you have like a mid Kassadin and they have like a Vladimir for example. Like you're probably not gonna gank that lane because it's your Kassadin's pretty useless pre-6. He just doesn't have any CC and he has pretty much like no damage early game. Like he just wants to farm like Kassadin. And you're Vi, so pretty much if you don't land the Q and if Vladimir puddles, he's gone. So I feel like playing around your strong lanes is like gonna help you benefit you a lot because you're gonna be able to actually like have tangible leads as opposed to just ganking a lane where you because maybe they're overextended, but like the fact that you can't kill them or can't capitalize on it, for example, wouldn't do you anything in terms of map play as opposed to like if you could gank bot lane where you have like a lot of CC like Leona and like Kai'Sa or something. You have a lot of damage, a lot of CC, where it's like pretty much a guaranteed kill if they don't have sums. I think knowing which lane to gank, killer, especially early game, is huge.
That's good. That was like a lot more kind than what I thought it was gonna be. But
Yeah.
Look at you. You're not toxic. You're not roasting me. You could have. I even have it here in the note. Like I wrote to myself, be okay with being roasted. Like, you're just a nice guy. Thank you. I appreciate that.
It's just for the podcast. I'm kidding.
Later on, we're gonna queue up after this. He's gonna be
later.
like, yeah, the full throttle. Okay, so here we go. Last thing before we end. And I just want to say thanks so much for being on this. It's been great having you. I love being able to interview high quality players like this. So thank you so much for your time.
It's been a pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure.
So if people want to get in contact with you, is there a way that they can, follow a Twitch that you have, or if they want to get coaching from you, should they reach out to you on Instagram or Twitter or with an email? Is there a way that you would want people to be able to get in contact with you if they want to follow your stuff or if they want to get coaching from you?
Sure, yeah. There's a few ways to contact me. Like you can always add me on League. Just message me on League or like add me and then they can say like, oh, I'm interested in coaching, for example, or just want to play games. I'm always down or open to that. I have a Twitter at LO_gone. I wanted the LOL_gone, but like it was taken, so I had to use the ghetto Twitter tag. So at
it's LOL at _god?
_gone at LO LO_gone. Yeah, I wanted the LOL gone, but it was taken. I don't know who took it, but it's gone. It's gone, huh? But so there's that, and then I used to stream on Twitch. I used to stream pretty frequently, but I've been lazy recently. I haven't streamed in months. But you can always follow me at twitch.tv/MattGainz with a Z. So MATTGAINZ, not a S. It's a gym reference. So.
Well, cool. We'll make sure to. Oh, sorry. Did I cut you off? Was there another way?
Oh no. That's it.
Okay, great. So I'll make sure we put that in the comments here below. So if you're listening on audio or you're watching this on YouTube, I'll have those linked below that you guys can click on and go straight there. But with that, I think we're gonna head out. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, my stuff, if you want to reach out to me, it's below. But on Instagram, you can reach out to me at gilbo.swaggins or on Twitter at Big Spooky BIGG Spooky. I had kind of the same setup where I really wanted BIG Spooky because that's like I'm just Big Spooky with 1G, but they didn't have it, so I had to throw a second one in there. But make sure to reach out to us. We'd love to know what you thought of Gon's interview. We'd like to know what your thoughts are. If you have questions for him, feel free to link them below, and we'll try to answer them for you. So thanks so much for checking us out. We'll see you next time.